Hello folks, welcome to episode 6 of my CB radio show. So join me, 104, and I'll let you know what's going on this week. Right, so folks, let's kick off with a couple of shout outs. Now the first shout out is again for a net. It's great to see the nets kicking off again after the lockdown, and this is a popular one. I've managed to get into it myself in a limited capacity from here, and it's got a good strong station for the chair. It's Neil 388, and he's supported by other high ground stations as well, who help relay and bring people in. So big net. Again, it's on a Thursday night, and it kicks off around about 8 p.m. I believe, and it's on channel 39 on the mid block. Channel 39 on the mid block, which is 27.395 megahertz. 27.395 megahertz. Okay, so give them a shout. Runs from about 8 p.m. until late. It just keeps going until it fizzles out. So that's super duper. Lovely friendly net. Lots of people getting passed around and all the rest of it. So do please give that one a try. And of course the Midwells net is on the same night. It starts a bit earlier, so you can certainly call into both. There's certainly room for both on a Thursday night. So that's on upper sideband, channel 39, 27.395 megahertz. Thursday nights from 8 p.m. until late. So happy days. Right, the other shout out is for Paul, I believe his name is. I hope I haven't got that wrong. And it's CTX 2500. Paul, CTX 2500. And yeah, he's doing what I should be doing really. He's out on those pretty high up hills up north somewhere, north of Birmingham but south of Scotland somewhere. Once you get down to the West Country, it all sort of, I don't know, above Birmingham is north. Okay, anyway, he's up north somewhere, and he's out on these big hills, and he's doing well. He's out in all sorts of weather. He's doing a proper CTX thing with shelter, the grub and all the rest of it. Absolutely brilliant. So I'll leave a link to his channel below, so do please check out Paul's channel. So there we go. Anyway, that's the shout outs for this week. Now I might, if I get a chance, call into the channel 30 net later on. If I do, and I got any footage that's worth bothering with, I'll include a clip at the end. If I don't, I won't. Okay, so excuse me. There we go. That's the shout outs for this episode. Now update wise, I'm actually moving a fair bit of stuff down to the other place at the moment. I've got my display shelf and all the test kit and all the rest of it. So mainly radio stuff is down there. Okay, so as you'll see a little bit later, you'll see me decanting a lot of stuff from boxes and things, and I will shove them up on the shelves. So even Bagpuss has gone down there. So Bagpuss here has been replaced by this Happy Feet penguin that I got in a box of washing up powder some years ago. So it was being given away free, and I thought I've got to have one of them, and I got one. So the idea, it came all flat, and you had to pack it out with something to give him some bulk or something like that. I hope that's not a pair of no, I won't go into that, but let's say we've got a new mascot for the shed. Okay, radio wise, I've been clearing out a couple of bits and pieces out of the old Polo and stuff, so I've managed to get a couple of mounts now. So what I might do, I've got my business VHF license, and I've been using those with little 5-watt handies. I've got a Tate mobile radio for that now, so I might do a little fixed install, or at least something like that in the Toyota. So we'll see. So that'd be good, because that'll give me another means of communicating other than 27 megs. So what's not to lose? Anyway, that license is great. I think it's called the UK Simple Light license. That chap, oh, I can't remember his name, Ringway Manchester, he did a piece on that, and he's researched it very well. That's a good channel, is Ringway Manchester. I can't remember his name, sorry mate, I ought to, but I'm old, okay, senior moment. But check out his channel. It's a big channel as well, but I do tell you that he must put in a lot of research and a lot of effort to produce the videos that he does. And one of his recent ones, I'll leave a link in again, is to that UK, I think it's called the UK Simple Light license, 75 quid for 5 years, and it gives me the ability to use mobile radios and handheld radios at 5 watts on VHF, and also some UHF frequencies as well. But there we go. Anyway, so I've got some mounts for that. I've got a little quarter wave there for VHF that I've cut, should be thereabouts, so I'll put that on and tune it in as best I can at some point in the future. Also, I've tried to improve, so I'm getting that bloody PLT noise down here in the shed. I could either run a long length of coax up the fence line and do something with that to get it further away. I can't be bothered, to be honest. I'm not in here much these days, so I'm moving. This is more sort of DIY now, this shed, and it's sort of my sort of escape cabin. I've got my little CRTS Mini running over there. That's pretty much all I use this for anyway. But I have tried to improve the station up in the main building a little bit. So what I've done up there, I've still got it, I think it's called a Galaxy, Thunderpole Galaxy 5.8, aka a Sigma Skipmaster 2011. I'll confirm that. It's a Fibreglass antenna. It's about 14.5 foot long. It is what it is. It works fairly well. I can't hear as much up there as I do with the Antron up through a tree here, but I don't get the PLT noise up there, so I don't get that annoying crackle on stuff. I'm probably a noise floor level about an S point up there, so I'm running about S3 up there. Down here is about S1, S2, so I don't hear so much, but at least it's not got that PLT crackle. Antenna, it's, at the end of the day, they say it's got all this gain and it's this, that and the other. It's a 5.8 wave, but at the end of the day, it's not a full-sized. It's shorter than say a half-wave silver rod. It's not 17.5 foot long. It's 14 foot long. So to me, a 14 foot long antenna is not going to work as well as say a half-wave at 18 foot, or what's a 5.8, about 24 foot, something like that, 21 foot. I can't remember. It's not going to work as well as that. It just isn't. It's just loaded to reduce its length, as far as I'm concerned. But that aside, it's a very tidy twig. It doesn't flex around. It's lightweight. It's tough. It's been up there through the winter, and it's come through no problem at all. Easy to deploy, and it's discreet. So what can I say? So plus points, yeah, but to me, it's not going to outperform a half wave, and it's not going to outperform a 5.8. Real terms on the S meter, probably not a lot, but it could mean that, say, you might not get that long distance F-layer skip contact, whereas with a 5.8 wave you might. But for local chat, the type of thing I do, and it has to be discreet here, it does fit the bill. So a thumbs up for the Galaxy 5. It's Fibreglass, by the way, if I haven't mentioned it already. 5.8 Galaxy, or Skipmaster 2011. I'll annotate the exact title above. So that's what's happened there. Also, I've taken a few things out of a couple of motors, so I've got a couple of spare mounts now, so that's all good. I think I mentioned that before, but there we go. Other updates, that's pretty much it really. So there's been a lot of DIY going on here. I'd like to be out as well, but we've got a lot of work going on here at the moment, including some external contractors as well, so it's difficult to get out. And also the damn road is, now we're getting into the sort of spring and summer, and the lockdown is easing. The road is turning into, out in rural areas, the roads are like racetracks. They've gone lawless, and sometimes you sort of think, do I really want to go driving all out in the countryside when you've just seen some people booting it past at about 120 in a 40 limit, and you start thinking, no, I don't fancy it. So hence the slight improvement up there with the base station, because sometimes I just don't want to go out and face the traffic. So there we go. But certainly when we're allowed out back into Wales and I can travel directly from our other place which is pretty much big roads and motorway all the way, I will be out and hopefully blowing some decent smoke on those nets, etc. Anyway, so yes, that's pretty much it. So that's our updates, that's our shout out. So let's now decant just like that down to the other place, and I'll show you my sort of unboxing of those old radios. Righto, back down to Studio 2. So I've decanted some more stuff now from the other location down to here in order to populate my display shelf a little bit more. So I'll start digging out a few bits and pieces and show you what's migrated. So just move the brew out of the way. First up, a couple of bass microphones. Not used these for a while actually. This one, I don't know what make it is. It's very similar to a Leeson. That knob there is not original, but wired Cybernet. Still got its battery cover as well. Very omnidirectional. Not particularly loud, very omnidirectional, and it does tend to pick up a fair bit of background noise, and quite bassy. Pretty good, but for me it does tend to pick up too much background noise. So you would need a quiet shack, so to speak, to utilise this bass microphone. But nice solid item. Everything works. So yeah, might give that a try out. Used to work well with my old York 869 ohm bass actually. Anyway, probably of more interest is this piezo, I think you pronounce that. It's a DX354 microphone. Again, everything's intact. Switchable between electronic and relay on the bottom. I've no idea what's wired for. I don't know if it's Cybernet or Uniden, I'm not too sure. But I do know that it sounded really good on sideband. Really good. Really good. So I think I'll give that one another try with my Superstar 3900 down here. I think that would marry up very well indeed. Nice microphone, very nice microphone, all metal construction, solid piece of kit, absolutely lovely. So anyway, let's crack on because I have brought a fair bit of stuff down. So right, let's delve into the lucky dip bag. Next out is this little base station. Now I think this is the only base station that was made as an FM 80 channel. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is. And one of the last sort of bespoke base stations rather than a mobile that you would have to use a separate power supply with. And it's a Team Euro 8000. And I did actually buy that second hand from somebody, but I can't read it. Waters and Stanton, many moons ago. So not a bad little job. And yeah, not bad. I may power up that sometime and give that a run out. Right, let's have a look, see what else we've got in the bag. Now this is perhaps of interest. This one here. It looks like an ancient noise cancelling microphone. Now perhaps someone out there may have some experience of this microphone. I think it's a dual element. So I don't know really how it works. There's no battery or anything in it. It's wired Cybernet. It sounded pretty good. And I thought, well, that looks a bit like a lip guard. So at any distance, it's really quiet. But I held it about an inch away, maybe a little bit less from my mouth at the top, and it sounded pretty good. So I don't know if I'm using it right. I don't know. Where would you hold that? This right up to your mouth, that right up to your mouth, off to the side. What do you reckon? And it's a Fillmore CM55. A Fillmore CM55 dynamic microphone. And it says there, noise cancelling. Anyway, that's that. That's just a standard microphone off of a Fidelity. brought the original Craftsman back to join the Craftsman 2, so that's just a York 861 behind there. And before anybody screams, oh, you've buggered up an old radio, the faceplate was in dreadful condition, and if you really wanted to, that's just a sticker, that camo stuff, you could just peel it off and reveal what's underneath. So nothing was taken away with that bit of fun radio, the Craftsman. Anyway, that works very well indeed. What else we got? We've got a microphone here that looks really much like a porta pack, but it's got a 4-pin on it, so I'm going to take that apart to see if it is actually a proper speaker mic or just one with the same casing as the porta pack speaker mic, because that would be quite useful. Okay, what else we got? Quick box of stuff here. Quick slurp of tea. Okay, nice shiny one for the magpies out there. The Mustang CB3000. So that's one I've recently serviced, and it just needs to be tested on air. So that will be seeing some use quite soon. There's a Radio Mobile CB202. Unfortunately, somebody's added the mid block to that, but I don't like that conversion, to be honest. I can understand why people did it back in the day, but I'll probably have a go at taking that off at some point and restoring it back to stock. But wow, that is some heavy radio. That really is a heavy radio. There's some quality in that. So that's the Radio Mobile CB202. I brought back another one of my Japanese made Amstrads, and that's the one with the as rare as hen's teeth power connector on the back. I do have that connector on one of my leads, so it can be put to use, and that has all been tested, and it's a good one. Finally, one of these crappy jobs, but I do like the style of them. It's an Academy, so it's all been tuned up and the rest of it. So indeed, I'll give that a try on with the nets as well. The Academy doesn't say, it says Academy on it with the great chassis inside. So that's that. Over here is this one. Let me move this other part out of the way a minute. Can they have enough radios? Rig Fever, that's what they call it. It is the Harrier CBHQ. Very nice radio indeed, with the Cybernet 134 chassis inside. So yeah, I've got space ready for that up on the shelf, and it does work. So we'll give that a try out on one of the nets from here at some point in the near future. So yep, CBHQ all tested. I had to recap the power supply in this one. It was making almighty hum, so that was done. A few other bits and pieces. Case is not bad. That's been resprayed at some point. It's not bad. Fascia's really good. So yeah, nice looking radio. Nice looking radio. Anyway, that's it. That's all I brought back this time, I think. I've got other things to mess around with, but this is the stuff that will be going up on the shelf, and it's not going to stay up there unused. I'm going to rotate it and get some of this kit back into use. Righto, update from Studio 2. So yes, indeed, I've been bringing a few things back from the other place. Now the lockdown is hopefully on its way out, and yeah, it's now mostly up on the shelf how I want it. So I will show you what I've been up to this last few days here. I'll take a quick slurp of whiskey. You know I'm partial to a drop now and again, and I know a lot of you probably are much the same. And this one is one I do recommend actually for a cheap whiskey, or cheapish. It's a single malt called the Ben Bracken. I've mentioned it before, from Lidl. Now it's very woody, like a woody whiskey. This is it. Now the one they do, I think it's called the Glenmarnock from Aldi, is much more of a smoky whiskey, but I prefer this one, and it's I think £16.50 in the green tin. So there we go. Anyway, what I've been up to, not a great deal this time. There's been other things to do, but I have been fixing a few things. The main thing I fixed was I've got round to changing the crystal in the Harvard H404, and just checked a couple of the tune-up settings on that one while I've been here. So that is a 10.24 crystal that I changed in that one. Came from a scrap chassis, and thankfully it hadn't aged as much as the one in here, and I managed to easily bring the frequency up to exactly where it should be. So that one now is a 1. Right, so folks, a couple of little jobs going on. I've got the Harvard H404 off the shelf, and I finally got round to changing the 10.24 crystal there, because it wouldn't come up on frequency. It dropped so much with age it wouldn't come up. So that's been swapped out for one from a scrap chassis, so that's something. And it's always a bit of a worry with scrap parts, because quite often, just like with cars and things, they're just as bad as the one you took out. But I haven't set it yet, because I'm letting it warm up for about half an hour before I set the frequency. But the TriStar at the bottom there is showing 27792, so it's high on frequency, so that should drop down nicely and correct that problem. I'm actually going to run through a couple of the other things while it's apart, just as a matter of course. They should be okay, or thereabouts, but I think I'll check the VCO voltages and things like that while I'm in there. And I'm actually running it off the 13.8 volt input on the back at the moment, unless I'm sort of working, recommend this to anybody really, unless you're sort of working on the mains transformer side of a home base, and it has got that option to run it from the external DC source. It's a lot safer to do that than work on it. You never know. Most of them are quite well shrouded, but there's always a chance something's going to go somewhere where it shouldn't do, and there's some nasty voltages in there. So there we go. So that's running off the DC input, and so yeah, that's the one that I changed. So that looks like it's going to come up on frequency. I'll check the VCO voltages and things like that, and just double check a few things, and put it back together and call that a wrap. So that's that one. I think what I'll also do, I'll get it over to the other table, and I'll just check that is doing the voltage specified. I don't know if it's 13.2 or 13.8 on this one, so I'll make sure it's doing that as well. Well, an absolute result to report. So it was screwed right to the top where I tried to get it up on frequency before. This time I had to screw it down. I was almost a bit worried it wouldn't come down, but it did. And we now have 27791.26, slightly high, because it will drop with age a little bit. So that is the major job done. There we are. Two on transmit, 2 on receive. Right, it's got 40 now. It should be about 4.5 volts on here, but it never is. It's usually about 3.5 on every one of these I've done, and it is. I got a feeling it's almost like it's a typo in the service manual. I'm going by the Amstrad service manual actually, and it's usually about 3.3, 3.5 volts, 3.6 at the most, but perfectly in lock. So there we go. That's another job ticked off the list. I'll just check a couple of other bits and pieces. I might just run through the sign ad again for fun, and go over and adjust that voltage of PSU. As you can see, the Harriet CBHQ now is in place with the Team 8000 on the top. Now all this stuff is going to get rotated. It's all going to get its chance to get a bit of an airing from time to time. I'm not one for just leaving things on shelves forever, but I am actually toying with the idea of bringing the It's a York 869 home base that's currently in use on the actual active station over there. Now that would fit in there lovely, and it's very much not identical. It's a very similar radio to this one. Same chassis, same cabinet size, different front panel. So that'll look nice. So that'll probably come over. I'll probably give the team a bit of an air in while it's up there. So there we go. Now I've got a box there. I kept my leads tidy-ish at last. So all my test leads are up there, test speaker, etc. Microphones in there. Now they're all microphones that are sort of bespoke. Say a Mustang mic, a Transcom mic, an Amstrad mic, things that go with specific radios, not sort of generic microphones. So they're safely packed away in there. As we go around, next sort of major job, I haven't got too many more radio jobs to do, which is great because now we're moving into the summer months. I want to try and get the portable outdoor stuff going much more. Quasar, that's that marine radio, very good cosmetic condition. I've got the mounting bracket and the white microphone for it as well, but I know the Uniden chassis that it's got. It's not the same chassis as the Uniden 100, 200, etc., but it's very similar. I do know they do need a few capacitors changed. I've got those capacitors, so I'll get round to that job in due course. But whether it's the same thing or not, perhaps someone can let me know who's got some experience with this type of radio. When I switch it on, it takes about a minute for any audio to come out of the radio, then it all kicks in and it's fine, and it stays fine. But it takes about a minute to actually start to receive. So if anybody's got any ideas on that, please let me know. Anyway, that's done. Also, while I was in the Harvard, I rechecked the VCO voltages because I originally set those with my other Tandy analog meter, and somebody said that's not really accurate enough, and it's not got enough. It can affect it because I think they said the input impedance of the actual meter can lead to inaccurate results when setting VCOs. I'm glad to say it was hardly out at all, so I'm pleased with that because some of those other radios have been done with the same method. I now use the digital multimeter because it's much easier to read and more accurate. So there we go. Anyway, so yeah, looking over here, that's all been laid out pretty good. So I've got some other stuff coming. I want to leave some radios at the other place because I've got two sort of shacks, so to speak, down in the shed and also up in one of the rooms. Up in the top building, I've got the Harvard H407, which is the slightly later version, but pretty much identical to the H404. That's over there. That's working great. I'm not intending to bring that one down just yet. A couple more Amstrads, and that's maybe a Fidelity 1000 or something like that over there. They'll come down in due course, but I want to use them and give them an airing over there, so they will be staying there for now. Anyway, so yes, microphones, that piezo, I checked it out and it is actually wired to Cybernet, but I do have a conversion lead that I can plug it into Uniden sort of wired radios as well. So I'm dying to give that a try actually, because I do remember that was awesome on sideband with a Uniden chassis radio. Not too sure what it's like on FM. I think there's a bit of compression to it. I don't know. So I'm going to do some audio checks next time I'm down, hopefully with that. So there we go. Nothing much else has changed. So this shelf now is really the test kit now to maintain the fleet, repair and maintain the fleet, so to speak. So I'm not looking really to add too much or get rid of too much now for the time being. Just leave it fairly stable, and this kit here will see use. Just things go wrong with old radios and kit and things like that, so I'm glad to say I've got kit now enough to maintain those. Now I have seen news out there on the internet that these signal generators, these cheap signal generators, can go for want of a better expression, tits up after a while. No problems with this one just yet, but apparently they do sort of tend to wither, and certainly they've got no protection should you accidentally transmit into them. So whatever you do, don't do that, because you'll wreck them straight away. But nothing to report so far on this one, touch wood. And I am running version 20.4 on the firmware, so perhaps that's made a difference. I don't know, but fingers crossed it is currently working as well as the day I got it. So there we go. Bagpuss has got a nice little spot there on the top of the Synad meter now, and there we go. So that's pretty much it. So I've got a few jobs to do next time I'm down. So I've got the microphone that I showed you during the unpacking. Now that turns out that is a Portapack microphone, but somebody's just rewired it to a 4-pin, and it's just basically a normal microphone in that configuration. So I'll be changing that back over to a 5-pin DIN and making that work once again as a Portapack microphone. It's not in fantastic condition. There's some plastic that's come away, snapped off around the entry point of the cable there, and the clip on the back is missing. So if I use my Portapack out in the field, so to speak, I'll use it with this microphone, and I'll leave the Mint microphone behind, because these things can get bashed about when you're out doing portable operations. So there we go, that's next time we're down. Also, if I can put my hand on a suitable lead, I will change the lead on the biodegradable Cobra microphone, the one that the cable is actually disintegrating into powder before our very eyes. So that's another job for next time. And also I need to put a new lead on this little dinky Murphy microphone. Again, that went wrong, that went bad on me. It's basically in the lead, one of the wires is broken off, so it's game over. So I'm going to try and find some replacement microphone leads to get those fixed, perhaps next time if I can source such a thing. So there we go, that's the update from Studio 2. So back to the shed, and yeah, quick slurp, we'll catch you in a moment. Okay, so yeah, it's taken shape down there, so I reckon I will change that York 869 to sit it on top of that Harrier. It's just grinning at me, it just wants me to do it. So I think that little 80 channel Team 8000 home base will get some use sometime soon. So like I say, I'm going to rotate them all anyway, so they all get a bit of an airing from time to time. Anyway, now let's crack on now, I should say, to the little bit of Ohm's law, and also the what you call a power triangle as well, and I'll show you an easy way to remember that. So I glaze over with maths. If I really have to concentrate on something, I have to concentrate, I'll work it out. But normally if anybody starts talking numbers, it's like just glaze over it. It just there we go. And a lot of other people like it as well, and I do know that people that go for their foundation, they, oh my god, Ohm's law, what am I going to do? But I'll show you an easy way to remember it. If it's all wrong, I blame my memory, because I was taught this 38 years old ago. So there we go. Anyway, and then I'll apply it to a real world situation where a lot of people, where their signal meter bulbs go, or they want to backlight an SWR meter, the little LEDs, I can't remember what voltage they are, but they're not capable of taking, say, the 13.8 volts that you get from a power supply. So I'll show you how you can apply Ohm's law in order to calculate the little resistor you need to put in the circuit in order that you can run one of those LEDs without blowing the thing up. So an actual application for the calculation to show its worth. So we'll crack on with that. Right, so time for a bit of mathematics. Oh no, I hear you all cry. But yes, indeed, I'm no big fan of mathematics, but some of the things I've learned over the years have proved to be useful, and these two things in particular have been very useful. And I was taught this easy way to remember back about 38 years ago, and it's stuck in my mind. And as you're all probably aware, my memory has never been that great, so it must be a good way of remembering it. So if this is crap in any way, blame my tutor back in the early 1980s at college. Anyway, we've got two things. First of all, we'll do a power triangle, power calculation. Okay, so all you got to do is draw a triangle like so, draw a line across there, draw a line down there, and in there P, I, V. Right, now all that is power in watts I is current in amps, and V is voltage. Now, all you got to do is whatever one you want to know. You'll need to know 2 parameters out of 3 to do this. The one you want to know, just cover it up, and what's left is the calculation. So if I want to know amps, and I know the power and I know the voltage of a device, I just cover that over, and it's power divided by volts. If I want to know the power in watts, it's just amps times the volts. Okay, so let's apply that to an actual device, an actual situation. So I've got one of these little infrared heaters here, and on the back is the specification plate, and it says 220 to 240 volts, 800 watts. Okay, now these calculations obviously don't take into account any sort of inefficiencies and things like that, but this is the basic calculation. So what I want to know then perhaps is how many amps that thing draws. Perhaps I want to size the fuse or something like that. So the one we want to know is that one. So the calculation is the power divided by the volts. Okay, so what was the power? Remember, it was 800. The voltage, the nominal voltage here in the UK is 230. So we just have to divide 800 by 230. So 800 divided by 230 is 3.478. So you can see that, if you can, 3.478. Round that up, 3.5 amps. Okay, so there we are. That's that applied in a real world situation. So useful little calculation. Okay, we'll move on next to the dreaded Ohm's law. Righto, Ohm's law. So might have a look in this thing in a minute, see what if there's any sample questions in that book. But this is the one everyone seems to dread when they're going for their amateur radio foundation license. But again, Ohm's law. Okay, just turn the pen around so it's a bit thicker for you. Again, draw a triangle. Put that line across like you did before. Stick a line down there. V, I, R, volts, amps, resistance. Okay, again, all you do, whatever one you want to know, you need to know 2 parameters out of 3 to solve the equation, so to speak. So if you want to know the amps and you know the volts and the resistance, cover that up. Volts divided by resistance equals amps. Okay, if you want to know the volts, cover that one up, and it's the amps times the resistance. Okay, so let's apply that to a real world situation. Now, I say a lot of maths I've learned over the years has been useless to me. It's just something you learnt for the exam and then forgot it as you walked out of the exam room. But for example, I just looked up an LED lamp, the type of thing you would put in, say, a meter, SWR meter, or replace your old dim lamp in your signal meter on your radio with an LED. Now these LEDs, they need a resistor in the circuit, otherwise they blow. Because the one I just looked at, for example, is rated at 2.5 volts, 30 milliamp current. So if we draw out a little circuit, okay, that's the LED, that's the resistor. The supply voltage, say, is 13.8. Okay, so you can start seeing the numbers to fill in. Resistance is question mark. The LED, as I said, is rated. This particular one, you have to look up the spec of the one that you've got. Is 2.5 volts, 30 milliamps. Now you'll have to convert that 30 milliamps into amps, so that equates to 0.03 amps. Okay, so what have we got to do? This needs to run at 2.5 amps, so we need to ditch a lot of that voltage, and that is, let's bring that in again, 13.8, okay, minus your 2.5, 11.3 volts, okay. So that's what we've got to dissipate. So, and we know the current. So now we can start applying that to the equation and working out the resistor that you need to go in there. So again, like I said, let's cover that one up. Volts divided by the amps will give us that resistance. So 11.3 volts divided by 0.03 amps equals, okay, divided that 11.3 by 0.03, 376.666 recurring. So you would want something like 377 ohms there if you round it up. So you'll want the nearest resistor value they do, the next one up, from 377 ohms. Okay, I'll look that up, the next one up. So that resistor now, we need to get the next one up, because they don't do resistors for all resistances. 377 ohms. Okay, so we'll look up the next one up, and that will prevent your LED becoming toast. So there we go. That is again a real world calculation based upon Ohm's law that might be useful. Okay, I'm gonna have a quick look in that license book now to see if they got a sample question. Right, so looking in the book, they do actually say about putting the finger on the one that you want to know. So they've shown the Ohm's law triangle there. So there we go. So if you're going for your foundation license, read the book. Right, so they got some sample calculations here. I couldn't find any sample questions in this, I must admit. I haven't read it. But yeah, indeed. So we'll just apply it to see if we agree with their calculation. And no doubt we will. So first up is the power one. So they're saying a torch bulb requires 3 volts and draws 0.3 amps when it's lit. How many watts, or what is the power? Okay, so we are looking to calculate the watts, so we cover that. So it's amps times volts. So it's 3 volts times 0.3, 0.9 watts, and indeed 0.9 watts. Okay, so there we go. That's all you got to remember with the power. Just put your finger on the one you want to know and fill in the values for the other two. Right, let's have a look at the Ohm's law one that they've got. Okay, a torch bulb has a resistance of 10 ohms, so we know the R value, and is designed to run at 3 volts, so we know the volt value. What is the current that will flow when correctly connected? So we know that the resistance is 10 and the volts is 3. Okay, so 3 divided by 10 equals 0.3 amps. Okay, so you wanted to know the current. What is the current flow? So we put our finger on current. So it's the volts divided by the resistance, and in this case 3 divided by 10, 0.3 amps. So there we go. So we've got to remember those things. Remember that. Do your triangle. Cover up the one you want to know.
Gary. Much appreciated. 23s. Be back to you then, yeah?
Yeah, many thanks, Alan. Yeah, Brian, I suspect the signal path from Eddie to my location.
Okay, so I'm going to have a quick shout in to the Channel 30 Net. Now, I said already that's on Channel 30, Saturday nights, UK FM. So I'm hearing a few from here. Very simple setup here. I just got the CRTS Mini. Outside is the Antron on a tree. That radio is the business radio that I'm going to put in the car. So that's just been running to make sure it's actually operational. Ordered from eBay, pre-programmed for UK simple light frequencies. So there we go. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can shout into this thing. I've only got water here. There's a guy down in Cornwall, and I think his name is Gary as well, spelled with one R. So if you get to see this matey, thumbs up. He's weighing into beers and he's weighing into rum. All I got is that. So there we go. Such is life. But I'll do better next time, okay? Anyway, let's see if we can get into this net. I'll have a bit of squelch on this time because people don't like the hiss of FM.
Okay, Eddie, we put it gently on the side there because it's obviously taking back to you on Alan 6054. So if you want to take it back to Alan, give me a bite out and we'll put it on the side.
Any QSKs, any break stations up there on Channel 30? I'd like to make yourself known, like to join us, more than welcome. Stations listening.
104, check it in, Ian.
Good evening, Gary. A pleasure to hear your voice this evening. So, how's things?
Not too bad. So we're at the alternative family location. So thought I'd give you a quick shout before it's time to lock up and go in the house proper there, mate. That's you.
Yeah, Roger on that. Well, you're stopping in this way, so can't fault it. Okay, well, see about checking who's taking your signal. I don't think there'll be a problem, to be honest. Alan, 1654, any copy on Gary 104?
Yeah, good evening, Gary.
Hello there, Alan. Great to get you on the radio. So better location for you at this QTH, mate. So yeah, radio 5 all the way. Got no S meter on this this radio, but it would probably be sort of 5 and 5, mate. Back to you.
You're the same this way, mate. Straight up the channel tonight.
Many thanks, Alan. Brian, 108, any copy on Gary 104?
Right, it is sitting right in the back of the box. No signal, but a radio 5. Evening, guys.
Hello there, Brian. Yeah, nice getting the radio, mate. So yeah, your signal's so bad the needle actually drops when you key up there, Brian. Back to you.
Yeah, well, I got a one light flashing with me, Gary. So that's all I'm getting off you.
I think you got that. Yeah, I got your radio 5. So it's only one of these little CRT jobs, and it's got no signal meter. Very simple radio. It does just sat in the shed, so I don't keep expensive stuff in the shed because in the real world, mate, sheds get broken into there. Brian, back to you.
Yes, so I'm going to be careful on now. So it's sitting in the cold shed, or we've got nice warm central heating in there.
Well, I got an old gas fire, if that's something that applies. But so yeah, it's pretty toasty in here. But I have to say, we're doing some gardening today, and the temperature mid-afternoon dropped like an absolute stone there, Brian. Back to you.
Well, it's 0 degrees this way.
Really, I think we're about 2 up this way, but we got wind chill. So yeah, it's pretty vicious. And we had a couple of contractors in, and they pretty much packed up and went home because they come dressed sort of for the sunny summer type weather, and it turned, and they finished the job quick, and they were gone, mate. Back to you.
Well, they finished the job then, they didn't leave it.
No, fair play to him. He was pretty good, and yeah, it's just a lot of tree cutting, so it's pretty manual work. But as soon as they stopped and the sort of wind chill got into them as they were loading up the wagon with the stuff to take it off to be shredded, they caught the cold there, and I've never seen them work so quick, mate. That's not bad. I ended up with a company called Bulb, and if you refer somebody, it used to be you got sort of 30 or 50 quid rebate because you referred somebody, which was good. Except I don't really know anybody, Brian, so I've got nobody to refer, mate. Back to you.
Yeah, anyway, we'll put it back to you there and get somebody else around you there, Gary. So Thanks for that one anyway.
Yeah, nice to have a chat there, Brian. All the best, mate. Back to you, Ian.
Yeah, many thanks, guys. Okay, Alan, 113. Any copy on Gary 104?
Yeah, no problem. Good evening, Gary. Long time no hear.
Yeah. It's been. Although we made a QSO about a couple of weeks ago, I think it was from home. So that's better than normal. But nice to sort of get back into the routine of actually keying the microphone there, Alan. Not managed to make it out sort of mobile or up on the hills yet. Sometimes just too knackered. Other times I look out on the main road, I see people speeding past at about 120 and a 40 limit, and I just don't fancy chancing it sometimes there, Alan. It's unfortunate, but out in the country the roads are pretty much gone lawless. So people just booting it past on double white lines, all sorts of things. So sometimes I just don't fancy it, mate. So it's a shame. It's sort of this place in particular. It's gone lawless out on the roads there, Alan. Back to you.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Absolutely,
Gary.
yeah. On this TV show, I think it was Edgar Wallace or something, Mysteries. So it was about 1962. This bloke went to a pub. He had about a couple of pints and about 3 shorts. Got out and just carried on as normal in his old estate car there, Ian. Back to you.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, and those cars didn't have much in the way of protection either. Lucky if you had even a rudimentary seatbelt. So yeah, no surprise about the accident and fatality rate on that score. But yeah, times have changed, and I must admit, looking back at things, maybe not all for the best, but certainly on that score, yeah, I think that is something that was way overdue.
Absolutely, I think it's much the same as the old racing cars. There was the sort of idea behind it was seatbelts are more dangerous because you were better off getting thrown clear if there was an accident there, Ian.
More
That's
the
it.
temperatures, shall we say. Having racing weather is all very well, but if you're planning to go up on the high ground like Penavan or something, yeah, the middle of winter is not the best of times to do it. Yeah, there's racing and then there's just downright masochistic.
That's me though. One of my videos, I went up to Crook Peak, which is across the motorway from Bleeding Hill, and I think it registered -6 for a night net. I actually ran a net from the top of there with an hour and a half walk off. I don't know, it's something about it's something about the aftermath of actually conquering something like that is the actual buzz out of the evening there, Ian. Back to you.
Yeah, copied on that. Hey, I can understand where you're coming from. Shall we say that, yes, I've done a few things that, activity-wise, that, yeah, the normal person thinks you're a bit, well, weak in the head, demented, or both. But, yeah, looking back at it, yeah, nice to get those in the logbook, shall we say, and, yeah, no one can take that away from you, so, in future years, when the old grey cells are, starting to die off and what have you, and I can just read back through the logbook and think, yeah, glad I got that one in.
Absolutely, and when you come back, you've earned your beers as well, and they go down. Bit of a sense of achievement. While you're up there, sometimes you think, what the hell am I doing this for? But when you come back, there's certainly a sort of afterglow of achievement, and the beers and perhaps a top of whiskey or two certainly seem well earned, to say the least there, Ian. That's you.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. So, yes, I must admit, on the occasions that I'm referring to, yeah, by the time we landed, bundled all the kit away and hit the bar, oh yeah, real good crack.
Absolutely. So,
yes. Brian's, I don't know, memory is contagious, but you'd be sure to welcome anyway.
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember anybody's name at all at the moment there, Ian. If I don't write them down and look at it, I probably forget my own name. I actually write my own name on the top of the log sheet there, Ian. That's you.
Yeah, copied on that. Must admit, don't do that, but I can see where you're coming from on that one. Anyway, I'll say 73 and hopefully catch you fairly soon.
That we will. Cheers all. Cheers there, Ian, and everyone else who's still out there. Cheers, everyone. 104 1010. Cheers. So there we go, folks. That's it for episode 6. Hope you enjoyed the show. And indeed, I don't know if I managed to get any of the footage of that net. I did call into the Ch30 Net. Spoke to 1, 2, 3, 4 very good stations that I've known probably for several years, if not more. Certainly with Brian 108. He's been on the radio for... well, I think he's been on there since day one, uninterrupted. So yeah, it's always nice to get those guys in the radio. So yeah, nice net. It's there's various types of nets. There's DX nets where people sort of shout in, quick exchange of signal reports and away to go. Or there's a sort of free-for-all type channel where people just, if they're all within earshot, that works quite well. People just get on there and chat with each other. Absolutely brilliant. Or you get a net like this, which is a few participants, and they're always asking for more to join, and you get a chance to have a good chat. And the net chair and the net controller, they're there for a reason, and quite often you get stations that can't hear each other, so they are there to perhaps relay messages and or 10.5 messages, and basically stop the whole thing going to rack and ruin. Because if you've got stations that can't hear each other, one will shout in over the top of the other, and if you're in the middle, it's a menagerie. So you do need a net chair, especially now that these stations are far more dispersed than they used to be. Far more dispersed. You do need that sort of thing. But nice little chat, and a chat about all sorts of things. And indeed, I do heavily edit any sort of footage like that, really right the way down to the initial contact, an example of their audio quality, things like that. I don't really include any of the sort of general chit chat, because sometimes obviously CB is not a private or secure medium of communication, but sometimes people can sort of forget that a little bit, and they perhaps give out things that they probably shouldn't. So I don't think I would live stream a net. And certainly some people say, oh, I'm running this type of radio that's not a legal radio, I'm running X amount of watts, that's obviously more than the permitted number of watts, and I think it's best not to record that and not to put it out on the videos. So they are heavily edited, and I think sometimes that can give a false perspective on what certainly a lot of the nets are like. So it's a lot more chat than you might think. For example, the 39 years of legal CB that I did was last November, 2.5 hours of net edited down to probably about 30 minutes of footage. So there we go. Anyway, I totally understand why some people don't like, particularly the DX nets, far more, especially a busy DX net, that's far more rapid fire. But if you don't like them, spin the dial, spin the dial. They don't come after you, so to speak. If you don't want to listen to it, you don't want to call in, spin the dial. That's all I would say there. And certainly the other thing I would not give any video time to, any air time to, would be disruptive operators. From time to time you do get someone that's disruptive. I think the best way is to ignore them. Sid always used to say that. Sid Mike 5, Sid 141. He always used to say, just ignore them, they get bored and they go away. What they're trying to get is their moment of fame or infamy. They're sort of, they want to be centre stage, they want to disrupt. If everyone ignores these people, then they tend to go away. And what used to happen with certainly with Sid's net, when it was a really big net, if there was a disruptive operator in a certain region, say towards the north or out to the west, Sid would say, swing it east, get away from them, and he'd sort of run the net in that sort of direction until the disruptive operator ceased their disruptive activities. So there we go. So they don't get any airtime. I don't think they deserve it, and they are best ignored. So there we go. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this week's show. I think I will try to call into Liddell, or Lidl, just trying to be posh, and get something a little bit better than Highland Spring for the shed. So hopefully this might be a little bit more regular, although we're not always here on a Saturday. So I will try from the other location, but it's not quite as good for this net. So yeah, otherwise those guys down in Cornwall, will be thinking we're softies up in this part of the West Country. So I'll do a bit better. So I'll try and get some spiced rum. I think that'll be quite nice. I won't have too much of it, because if I do and go on the radio, that will not end well. Anyway, on that note, I wish you a cheers and Highland Springs, and we'll catch you on episode 7.